3, 2, 1. Hey, what's up guys? This is Vitaly with TouchLifeStudio and it has been a while. It's so good to be back. Now today guys, I want to talk to you about actually street photography. And as some of you may remember, last year I took a trip to Canada, to Montreal, and I did street photography with Nikon Z6 II. And at that time, I was using 24-70 f2.8 lens as my just everyday shoot. Now, this year, I did something different, and I took a trip to New York City with the same camera, except this time I traveled with the 50 f1.8 S lens as just my everyday carry. And I had an amazing time. And I want to tell you a little bit about what it's like to shoot in 2023 with this camera in New York City and what was my experience like using it for street photography. All right, so before I tell you exactly what it was like, let me tell you a little bit about my trip. So I dropped off my family in Southern Connecticut, and I hopped on a train myself, Metro North, and basically laid out my trip to New York City with the train. And I got off at Grand Central Station, which if you haven't been there before, it is an amazing, beautiful piece of art, Grand Central train station. And from there, my destination was, well, guess what many photographers would go to? Exactly, B&H. And that was my destination point. Some of you may or may not know, Grand Central is located on the 9th Avenue in New York City. And instead of simply me taking different trains or transit or cab or any kind of other transportation, I decided to walk, and I walk with this Nikon Z6 II and 50mm f1.8. And you know what? Instead of using sort of like a sling kind of carry with me, I use this little Peak Design cuff, okay? And I really liked it. In fact, you guys know this little red anchors, many of you have them, and people typically use them on this side of a camera, okay? But you know what I decided to do? I actually attached it at the bottom, and believe it or not, it's actually much more convenient to use this little cuff with the little anchor attached to the bottom. And the way it worked, basically, all I did, I just clipped it at the bottom here, and this side of a camera was completely free of any obstructions and any anchors. And so I highly recommend, if you guys using this little cuff from Peak Design, attach it at the bottom of your camera, especially if you have a lighter camera and you have a good grip. And Nikon Z6 II has a really nice little grip, and I'm kind of used to. I used to love my D500 and D850 grip in the past, but I kind of got used to this little grip. And yes, my little pinky is hanging, but it is also a small camera and is a really nice experience. Now, to expand on my travel to B&H, why I was going there, what was my purpose. But before I tell you about my purpose, guys, I ask you if you can please subscribe if you're new to my channel and hit that like button if you haven't already so, because it really helps me to grow my channel, and I am so pumped. I am so excited and encouraged how far this channel have grown, and it's because of people like you who allow me to deliver content for viewers like you. So thank you. Okay, so purpose of my trip was I wanted to experience to use Z6 II or my Nikon Z9 actually, which I'm using right now to record, with different lenses. I feel like I have expanded the use of my lenses for different use cases, but I've also been getting a little bit more into sports with my kids. And I've been using either 85mm f1.8, and it's a great little lens. It focuses fast, but I'm noticing I'm not getting that reach anymore. So I want to have a longer reach, but I also want to see how I can continue to utilize that camera for portraits. That new lens for portraits and weddings, because that's kind of what I do. And even though I sold all my f-mount equipment, all my f-mount lenses, I was really interested in this one specific lens, and it's Sigma 105 f1.4 lens. So as you know, in B&H, you can simply go and ask for a lens and mount to your camera, which I've done, and see what kind of pictures you get with that. And so these are some of the pictures that I was able to take while in the store with Z6 II and the Sigma f1 and Sigma 1.5mm f1.4. So look at the creamy bokeh. I took a picture of this guy who works there, and look at this background. It is amazing how much it's blurred out. And I was like, wow, this lens is going to be fantastic for any kind of portraiture and wedding work. And I'm hoping I was going to be able to use it also for sports as well. And the lens honestly was focusing pretty well. That lens has a motor, and it's a hypersonic motor or something like that. And you can clearly hear it, but the images and quality that you're getting, and look at this picture right here. I'm just zooming in at the 50mm f1.8, my lens that I took out from my camera, and look at the blurriness, look at the bokeh and sharpness of this lens. But guys, guess what? I did not get that lens. I was a little bit hesitant because it is a heavier lens, but I can handle it. But then also what I wanted to try is the 70-200 f2.8, which is, by the way, right over here. Yes, this is exactly what I ended up getting, because I went to the store and I also tried that lens, and it was focusing so fast. It was getting great images at f2.8, and I momentarily knew that's the lens that I needed to get. And I ordered in the store, and 2 days later, yep, as you're seeing this video right now, it showed up at my door, delivered, and I mounted to my camera. I mounted to my I mounted to my Nikon Z9, and boy, oh boy, yes, it is heavy. It's not for someone who just wants to use it and carry every day. It is a much bigger setup, and I admit that I can handle this. I work out, I lift quite a bit. I'm not afraid of heavy lenses and heavy cameras. It sits well. I probably plan to use it on a monopod or something, but just so you know, it's not the lens and a camera that you're gonna carry every day. Now, and the reason I've been battling between these two lenses, the Sigma 105 f1.4 and 70-200 Nikon S lens, because I want to be able to use these lenses as one lens. And I certainly recognize there is so much more versatility when you are using the 70-200 for all kinds of things. For sports, it's amazing. For weddings, it's amazing. Now, while Sigma 105 f1.4 is amazing for portraits, I certainly would suggest it's better for portraits. I think you're getting a much more pleasing look with Sigma 105 1.4. I really felt like I was losing that versatility. I could use it for sports, maybe a little bit more. I would get a little bit further reach with 1.5, 1.4, but it's not nearly as fast focusing for sports. And so I love this lens. Don't get me wrong. This is a phenomenal lens. I'm really hoping it's going to serve me for many, many years. But I am still considering in the future getting a 1.5, 1.4. Now, I know that Nikon has an F mount, 1.5, 1.4. But after doing a lot of reviews, and maybe if you have one, please tell me in the comments below, what is your experience like with Nikon 1.5 f-mount lens 1.4? I'm still considering getting Sigma in the future, unless there's a Z mount comes out at 1.105, 1.4. Now, I'm pretty sure that Nikon will be releasing shortly, not long from now, the 135 1.8. Probably it's going to be S lens, and I am keeping my eye out for that one as well. So let's see how chips fall in the future. But that was my debate, my internal battle. I'm not sure if you guys had those battles in the past with you, but this was battle within me, whether I get 1.5 1.4 Sigma lens, or as you can see, obviously what I got is 70-200 2.8 S lens for future portraits. So yeah, that's my issue. So that was my experience traveling to the B&H store. If you guys haven't been there, I highly suggest. But out of this way, now let's talk about the trip and going to New York City and using Z6 II with a 50mm f1.8.
Don't be afraid of the dark, be careful with stars. Not every light is gonna guide you, baby. Don't let them rain on your spark. Keep it close to your heart. All of the pressure's gonna drive you crazy. Close your eyes to the madness. In the morning it's all gonna vanish. Don't be afraid of the dark, be careful with stars. Not every light is gonna guide you. Not every light is gonna guide you.
Yeah, when I blow up, I'ma soar high like Peter Pan. In real life, be living all my dreams. If I'm waking up, it's in a foreign land. Whole wrist covered up in ice. Dealership, never ask the price. I hit the mall and ball with my dogs. Yeah, I swipe it once without thinking twice. Cause this what I was made for. Man, I know this what I came for. On a big stage, couple thousand people, and they do whatever I say so. Have chicks that color of the rainbow. Yeah, chains on me like Django. Be a long way from my tank low. Cause my Tesla charge for them bank rolls. And I'm grinding, money on my mind, and I'm headed to the top. I won't stop until I find it. Write my name in diamonds, but all these lights are blinding. I wonder, is it worth it? Feel like I'm losing my mind. Yeah, remind me.
Don't be afraid of the dark, be careful with stars. Not every light is gonna guide you, baby. Don't let them rain on your spark. Keep it close to your heart. All of the pressure's gonna drive you crazy. Close your eyes to the madness. In the morning it's all gonna vanish. Don't be afraid of the dark, be careful with stars. Not every light is gonna guide you.
You know, guys, when I use this camera back, I purchased this camera back in 2020, right? And literally during COVID, and this is the camera that actually helped me to start my YouTube channel here. And I had so many reviews on this camera. People ask questions. I use this camera for portraits, for weddings, believe it or not, even for sports, for little kids playing. And the images and the quality of this 24 megapixel sensor coming out are just beautiful. In fact, if you're looking to get this camera for street photography, I would even go further and suggest get the first version, Mark 1 of the camera Z6, okay, of Nikon Z6 instead of getting 6 II. It is virtually the same. It is the same sensor. It's for street photography, you don't need anything bigger. But I really loved using the 50mm f1.8 for street photography because it's small. Yes, you are not able to zoom in and zoom out, but you're using your feet for that. And it is a light to carry, And there's something about smaller cameras and smaller lenses that allows you to, I wouldn't say get a different variety of shots, because it's not a zoom lens, but it gives you an opportunity to, I feel like, almost take more pictures, because you're walking from place to place. And look at these images, right? Look at the colors. Yes, these are a little bit processed in Lightroom, but I love being able to capture people and still have this f1.8 kind of bokeh background. You still get a context, right? If you have a very shallow depth of field, a lot of times, like with f1.4, 105 millimeter, obviously it's a heavy lens to carry, but you don't almost get any context, right? It is so blurry. But with f1.8, you can get a beautiful context in the background and the colors. I really love it. I really, really love it. Now, one gripe, guys, really one gripe about Z6 II, and I don't know if this has happened to you or not, but what I have on my camera is, you may not be able to see it here, but I got this little spot, and maybe it's moisture that got on my screen or something. It doesn't impact the image quality in any way, but I think something happened with this little LCD screen that, unfortunately, it's almost like a little spot. I don't know if it's going to get bigger or not. I can probably replace it, right? I can send it to Nikon and they'll replace it. But you know, generally it doesn't bother me. It's the first time I ever had this happen in any camera. Maybe the weather sealing wasn't the greatest. Please let me know if you experience anything like this with any of your cameras in the past, and what have you done, because maybe if there's an easy solution to do this. Maybe it's burned pixels, I really don't know. But besides that, Z6 II is a spectacular camera for street photography. I can totally see why people using smaller Fujifilm cameras for street photography, but I really love this one, and I don't see myself getting rid of this camera. I love the fact that you can continue to do basically flip up your screen like this for low shots. Like you can see in a lot of these images, I have low shots, you know, from a lower angle, and it was very convenient. I pretty much would just go down to the ground and flip up the screen, and it focuses well. Z6 II is very good in a low light as well as during the daylight. I really didn't have any problems doing that. And one thing I do wish, which Z9 has, the one that's recording me right now, and Z8 now has, is to be able to flip your screen vertically, okay? Because there are a few moments when I was walking around and I was looking to see if I can take a vertical shot but flip up my screen. Well, Z6, Z6 II, Z7 does not do that. If you're a Sony user who have what is this, is R5 or 5 Sony Alpha 5 camera where you can flip up your screen, I think that one is probably one of the better designs. And I'm hoping that design will continue to trickle down to other Nikon cameras. But I also understand why Nikon did not implement that technology, that specific screen, into camera, because it's probably one of the weakest links in a camera. And what happens when you have a weakest link, you know, you're trying to eliminate that as a camera designer to make sure that your cameras last as long as possible. And I love, you know, the fact that Sony have done that. I wish that Z6 II will have that. Maybe Z6 III will have that. Maybe fully articulated screen. You certainly, for street photography, you don't need a fully articulated screen unless you may be doing vlogging. But other than that, Z6 II for street photography in New York City is fantastic. Beautiful camera to use. I will also want to try maybe with a 28mm Z mount lens next time because that lens is even smaller, and but 50mm, it just gives you that kind of look and almost you present there, and You know, if you're having this camera, if you're owning this camera, let me know in the comments below what you like, what you don't like. Do you think Z6 III will be much different than Z6 II? And I will see you in the next video.